You ever reach a point in your life where someone pushes just 1 inch too far? Like, you've let everything slide, you've let people cut corners, talk over you, or act like they're more important than everyone else. Because you're tired, because you're human, because life is already loud enough. But then one day, someone crosses that invisible line, and something in you snaps, not loudly, not violently. No, it snaps quietly, cleanly, in a way that says, all right, I'm done being polite. My name is George. And this is how one arrogant stranger at a coffee shop accidentally awakened the pettiest, calmest, most strategic version of myself. Before I tell you exactly how I dismantled this guy's morning routine, one slow, surgically precise move at a time, if you've ever been disrespected in public and wished you could deliver the perfect payback, you're going to love this story. 2. Every weekday morning. Before the fluorescent misery of my office job, I stopped by this tiny coffee shop on the corner of Maple and 3rd. It wasn't fancy. No neon signs. No locally sourced artisan bean narrative. Just good coffee, warm lighting, and a line of half-asleep adults silently bargaining with the universe for caffeine. The regulars knew each other, or at least recognized each other's backs. That's how mornings work. Nobody talks. Nobody smiles. We all just exist in a fragile truce until the coffee kicks in. And then there was him. I didn't know his name, didn't care. But the energy, the vibe, oh, that was unforgettable. He was the kind of guy who walked like every floor was built for him. Business casual, but the cheap kind trying really hard to look expensive. Perfectly slicked back hair, phone glued to his ear, always rushing. Always sighing dramatically like the world was too slow for his greatness. But his favorite move, his signature technique, was cutting the line. Not in an obvious way. Not the bold, I don't care about rules type. No. He used a trick, a little loophole for cowards. He would walk in, glance at the line, and pretend that he'd just remembered. A question he had to ask the barista. He'd stroll right past the entire line, lean his elbow on the counter like he owned the place, and go, hey, quick question, and then ask something so mind-blowingly stupid it made your IQ drop by contact. What size is your medium again? Do you guys make iced coffee cold? What's a mocha? And while he was already there, taking up space, breathing our air, he'd slide seamlessly into, well, since I'm here, I'll just take and boom, order placed. Line bypassed. Mission complete. He did this 4 mornings in a row. 4. And nobody said a word, because it was always too early and no one wanted to be the villain in their own morning. But me. I watched him, studied him, analyzed him like a lab experiment in entitlement. And on the 5th morning, I decided I'd had enough. Not in a dramatic way. No yelling. No confrontation. Just a quiet, okay, buddy, let's play. The door chimed. He walked in. Line was 6 deep. He saw it, sighed his signature. I'm too important for this. Sigh, and started drifting toward the counter. And that was the moment something in me clicked. My brain went, oh, we're doing this. We're absolutely doing this. I stepped out of line. Smooth, silent. Right past the other half-asleep zombies. I moved faster than he expected, cutting him off just before he could reach the counter. I gave him a polite, dead-eyed smile. He blinked, confused like a robot seeing a glitch. I turned to the barista. Hey, quick question? His jaw dropped. But the barista, she lit up. She knew exactly what game he'd been playing all week, and now she saw I was flipping the board. She braced herself. I asked, what's the difference between a latte and a cappuccino? Like, emotionally, the barista stared at me. He stared at me. The entire line stared at me. I wasn't finished. And, which milk do you recommend? Soy? Almond? Coconut? Like, which one froths better on average? Also, how many pastries do you guys have? Like, could you name them? Slowly, the barista tried not to laugh. He tried not to combust. And I just kept going, calm, collected, surgical. I dragged that question out like a slow violin solo in an old revenge movie. Finally, after a full minute of nonsense, I smiled sweetly. Like, know what? I need to think about it. I'll just get back in line. And I stepped away, leaving him alone, at the counter, looking like a malfunctioning NPC who lost his plaything. He didn't know whether to walk away, or order, or cry. The barista ignored him and called, next in line, please. And just like that, the man finally, for the first time ever, had to walk all the way to the back, behind all of us. But this was just the beginning, because the revenge got so much sweeter. He didn't show up the next day. I thought maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe the embarrassment was enough. But no, life is rarely that merciful. On Wednesday, the coffee shop door chimed at exactly 7:42 a.m. and instructed the line cutter, except something was different about him. He was trying really, really hard to look confident, too hard. His walk was stiff. His jaw was tight. His eyes scanned the room like he was making sure no witnesses from yesterday were present. Spoiler, we were all there. Same line, same regulars, same sleepy energy. But now we had entertainment. He waited behind me for exactly 30 seconds. Then he broke. I heard the telltale sigh, the exaggerated, theatrical release of air that only the truly entitled have mastered. then the shuffle of his shoes, then his voice. "Excuse me, I just need to." He stepped out of line. I stepped out faster. He blinked again, same confused, glitching NPC face from yesterday. I moved around him and reached the counter just as he was about to speak. "Hey, a quick question." The barista, now fully in on the ritual, gave me the warmest customer service smile I've ever seen. "Yes, George." She remembered my name. "Perfect. Was your croissant always this size? I swear last week it was fluffier. Do you guys have, like, a croissant growth chart? Maybe a croissant historical record?" Behind me, the man exhaled sharply. A little too sharply. Like he was hoping I'd hear. I did. And that only fueled me. I wasn't even asking questions anymore. I was crafting performance art, revenge theater, petty poetry. "And your muffin selection, could you describe each one in order of personality? Like, if the blueberry muffin was a person, what job would it have?" The barista bit her lip so hard to suppress a laugh that her shoulders shook. He interrupted. "Can you just order? Some of us have places to be." I turned slowly, not angrily, not aggressively, just calm, controlled, polite. "Oh, I'm not ordering," I said, just asking a question. "I'll get back in line when I'm done." The line behind him snickered. The barista snorted. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He was drowning in his own frustration. I smiled again and went, "Actually, let me think more about it. I'll go back." And I walked away. He stepped to the counter, then hesitated, terrified of looking like he was cutting again. The barista ignored him and called the next person. Someone from the line behind me walked up and ordered. He stood frozen, halfway between cutting and waiting, belonging nowhere. That was day 2. Day 3 was when things got delicious. He stormed through the door like someone had insulted his ancestors. He didn't look at the line, not even once. He headed straight for the counter, speed-walking like a man on a mission. I didn't even wait this time. I stepped out of line before he could get halfway there. His eyes widened, finally realizing I wasn't reacting to him. I was anticipating him. I beat him to the counter and asked, "Quick question, what exactly is the caffeine content of your cold brew? Like in milligrams, and emotionally, on a spiritual level?" The barista burst out laughing. He snapped, "Dude, stop following me." I raised an eyebrow. "Following you? This is the coffee shop I always go to, yeah." "Well, stop! Stop blocking me." "Blocking you from what?" I asked sweetly. "You're not cutting the line or anything, right?" The entire shop went silent. The man's face turned red. His mouth moved but no words came out. That's the thing about guilty people. They hate mirrors. And I was holding up the biggest mirror of his life. He stammered, "I wasn't. I never. You're making this a thing, am I?" I asked. "Or are you just upset that you can't abuse the system anymore?" His nostrils flared so hard I thought he might lift off the ground. I continued, "You could just wait in line, like everyone else." A guy in the back clapped. One single clap, and that was all it took. The pieces fell apart. His pride cracked like thin ice. He turned defeated and walked, slowly, to the back of the line. When he stepped past me, he muttered, "This isn't over. Oh, buddy, you really shouldn't have said that," because I was nowhere near finished. The next morning was my masterpiece. He walked in, saw me, saw the line, and froze. This time, no sighing, no pretending, no attempt to cut. He just stood still like a deer deciding whether to cross a very dangerous road. He stepped into the back of the line. Victory, right? Well, not exactly, because I wasn't satisfied yet. He'd been humiliated, yes, but he hadn't learned, not fully, not deeply, and I wanted the lesson to burn itself into his morning routine forever. So when he stepped into line, I stepped out of mine. I walked straight to the counter. He blinked, betrayed, confused, angry. The barista smiled at me like we were partners in crime. I leaned on the counter, fully theatrical. "Hey, quick question." He groaned loudly from the line. "What, no?" I raised a finger. "1 second, sir." Then I continued, "Could you list every possible milk alternative again?" I'm spiritually torn. The barista inhaled. She knew the script now. "Well, we have." Behind me, he whispered furiously, "You don't even care about milk." I looked back at him innocently. "Oh, no, I don't. Not even a little. I'm lactose intolerant." A half the line laughed. The barista covered her face. His jaw tightened until I thought it might snap. "And the pastries?" I asked. "Could you describe them in order of crunchiness?" He let out a sound, not a word. Just a noise from deep inside the soul of a man who had been defeated at something he once thought he mastered. So I dragged the questioning on for another minute, then stepped back into line. He stared at me, trembling with caffeine, deprived rage. And that was the moment, this exact moment, when something inside him broke. Because the next day the man came in, saw the line, and walked straight to the back. No theatrics, no sighing, no pretending, just waiting, patiently, quietly, like a civilized human being. My work was done. But here's the part that truly sealed the deal, the moment that transformed this whole petty routine into a work of art. It was a Friday morning, cold, rainy. Everyone was half asleep and half miserable. The kind of morning where patience is thinner than a cheap napkin. The shop was packed. A full line. People shoulder to shoulder, damp coats, dripping umbrellas, the smell of wet pavement clinging to everyone. I was third in line when the door swung open so hard it smacked the stopper, and in walked the man, the reformed line cutter. Except today he looked frantic, hair uncombed, phone in his hand, breathing fast. He scanned the line, eyes wide, and for a split second, I saw the old version of him flicker. The version that always cut in line without hesitation. His foot even shifted, just enough to give away his instinct. Then he stopped, caught himself, lowered his foot, and let out the saddest sigh I have ever heard come out of a grown adult male. He trudged to the back of the line. A man reborn, but fate wasn't done with him. Because right as he reached the end of the line, a woman rushed in behind him, soaked from the rain, holding an umbrella and a little girl's backpack. She looked exhausted, stressed in the way only parents on busy mornings can look. She accidentally bumped his elbow. He whipped around. Watch it? Everyone turned. The woman blinked, startled. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Everyone in this damn place is useless. He snapped. The whole shop stiffened. All that progress, all that reform, gone in one burst of pure entitlement. I felt something inside me click. No, we were not going backward. Not today. I stepped out of line. This time not to block him, not to annoy him, not to ask fake questions. This time, I spoke loudly enough for the whole shop to hear. Sir, I said, you don't get to talk to people like that. Not here. He glared at me, rain dripping from his coat. Stay out of it. No, I replied. Not today. The barista leaned forward over the counter, voice firm. Is there a problem? I gestured calmly. This man just yelled at her for bumping him. She apologized. Everyone saw. The room murmured in agreement. He looked around, realizing he wasn't outrunning this. There was no escape route, no loophole, no fake question to get him ahead. For the first time since I'd known him, he had to face a room full of people who weren't ignoring him, but judging him. He stuttered. I didn't. She. The woman whispered. It's fine. I'm fine. I shook my head. It's not fine. The barista spoke, voice crisp with authority. Sir, you can either wait respectfully or you can leave. No exceptions. He froze in place, shocked, humiliated, cornered. He sputtered. I come here every day. I'm a regulars, she said. Don't treat people like that. Silence. He looked at me, at the line, at the woman, at the barista. It hit him. His reputation, whatever it was, just evaporated, and suddenly like a balloon losing the last of its air, he deflated. His shoulders dropped. He swallowed, and without another word, he walked out of the shop. The door closed behind him with a soft chime. The whole line stayed silent, listening for footsteps to return, but he didn't come back. Not that week, not ever again. From that morning on, the coffee shop was peaceful, almost too peaceful. No sighing, no cutting, no drama, just people being normal humans before caffeine. One afternoon weeks later, the barista leaned over and whispered to me, You know we all watched the security footage, right? I blinked. What? She grinned. You were iconic, her words, not mine. And she added, he stopped coming the day after that confrontation. Maybe he found a new shop. Maybe he finally learned. But whatever you did, it worked. I smiled. Because honestly, it wasn't even about revenge anymore. Not by the end. It was about boundaries, about fairness, about proving that sometimes the smallest injustices, the tiniest daily annoyances, can actually matter. Sometimes, standing up for something trivial shows you what you're willing to stand up for when it's not trivial at all. And if one petty man learned a lifelong lesson about treating people with basic respect, then every single fake question was worth it. And the funny thing is, when you look back on the whole situation, it almost feels unreal that one guy's petty, entitled behavior could disrupt so many people's mornings. But that's the thing about everyday disrespect. It's quiet, it's subtle, and it wears people down slowly, one inconvenience at a time. Most folks don't say anything. They don't want drama. They don't want confrontation. They just want their coffee and a normal morning. But sometimes all it takes is one person deciding, nah, not today. I didn't yell. I didn't insult him. I didn't escalate. I just made sure his little loophole didn't work anymore. I held up a mirror, and eventually he didn't like the reflection. There's a strange satisfaction in that, not cruelty, not revenge for the sake of revenge, but the satisfaction of restoring balance, making things feel fair again, reminding someone that the world doesn't spin around them, no matter how much they think it does. And in some twisted way, I think he needed that moment, not the petty questions, though I admit those were fun, but the moment when the entire room silently called him out, when his behavior was exposed, when he finally felt the weight of the thing he'd been getting away with for months. Because growth rarely comes from comfort, and humility rarely comes without embarrassment. So, if there's anything to take from this story, maybe it's this: you don't need to be loud to stand up for yourself. You don't need to be aggressive to stop someone from walking all over you. You just need to be consistent and sometimes a little creative. And yeah, a tiny bit petty doesn't hurt. To anyone listening who's ever had someone cut in front of them, in line, in life, in anything, just know you're not alone. Your frustration is valid, and sometimes justice comes in the form of a perfectly timed question about milk frothing. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button. Share this with someone who deals with entitled people on a daily basis. And hey, drop a comment telling me the most satisfying petty revenge you've ever seen or pulled off. Make sure to subscribe for more stories just like this, stories about karma, justice, life lessons, and all the ridiculously relatable things people deal with every single day. Thanks for listening, and remember, some mornings, you just have to be the hero of the coffee shop.